You might have heard about Notion, this new killer app that will supposedly render all of your other productivity apps obsolete. Well, in this video, we're going to be taking a hard look at Notion and whether or not it's the right fit for you. What's up everyone? My name is Ben Hong and I'm a Senior DX Engineer at Netlify and a Vue.js core team member. And as some of you may know, I'm also a huge productivity nerd. So, when someone tells me that there's a new app in town that will supposedly kick all the other ones to the curb and is also beloved by the community, well, I can't help but check it out. Let's jump right in, shall we? So the first question is, what is Notion? Well, at first glance, Notion appears to be nothing more than a document editor that happens to have some enhancements to make it a little more friendly to those who are familiar with Markdown. But if that were the case, Notion wouldn't really be getting all the attention that it's been getting. Let's go ahead and take a look at what Notion's strengths are. While there are a lot of different things that people love about Notion, I believe there are three big things that make Notion what it is: the content block, ease of collaboration, and the power of their tables. One of the most valuable concepts that Notion has helped to popularize is making the content block a first-class citizen. In other words, rather than restricting authors to standard formatting styles like bold and italic, Notion makes it really easy for authors to express content in various ways. For example, let's say I'm writing a tutorial where I need to alert the reader to something halfway through. Here, I want to let the reader know that Composition API is only available natively inside of Vue 3 and requires a plugin. With traditional text formatting, the best we could probably do is do all caps warning and maybe bold it. And if we wanted to, we could try to go ahead and change the text color in order to sort of make it obvious to users that they should pay attention. But the problem with this is that it's not always visually appealing and it can sometimes make it hard to read from an accessibility perspective. So in Notion, there is this content block called callout, where if I go ahead and add this block called callout, you'll see that it comes with this sort of built-in UI that makes it very stand out from the rest of the content. So now we can actually take this thing that we wrote, put it in here. If we can go ahead and actually give it some context regarding the warning. So here's a warning sign. And since it's only a warning and not danger, I can actually change the background color to yellow. And so even with this simple example, we've now leveraged Notion content blocks in order to allow us to make content easier for readers to identify, but also for authors to easily change and update depending on whatever context they're trying to communicate. And so the other thing is that when it comes to productivity apps, sharing work with people who are not on a paid account can often be quite painful. However, with Notion, they've made sharing items with other people and controlling the role access incredibly easy and simple to do. Here inside of my blog post, if I wanted to share it with some people in advance so that they can, say, review it, we can come up here into the Share tab and we can actually add other Notion users to it. And what's great is that you can then actually toggle on the different types of access. So whether they can only edit, comment, or just view it, which is awesome when it comes to leveraging those roles depending on how much control you want people to have. And the other really cool thing is that everything in Notion is actually basically a website. So this means that in case you want to share it to the web, it's as simple as toggling on this button right here, and then you'll actually get a link that you can copy and paste to and basically share with whoever you want. And you can still even toggle some of the permission editing as far as whether they can edit it, comment it, and so forth. And so this is one of the things that they do incredibly well, and incredibly grateful to Notion for making it this easy to manage roles and permissions. And last, but certainly not least, Notion's implementation of tables is a game changer for a lot of people. The ability to manage your data with the familiarity of spreadsheets while also being able to leverage different views of the data based on your preference is absolutely mind-blowing. And if that's exciting to you, well, I've got good news for you because that's just the tip of the iceberg. I'll be covering more Notion features and techniques in future videos, so if you want to learn more, be sure to subscribe below. As someone who's been using Notion since October 2018, I'll be the first one to tell you that I have tried to make Notion my Swiss Army app for my entire productivity workflow. I'm talking note-taking, task management, Kanban boards, calendars, you name it. And I've tried to do it multiple times. And while there are many things that Notion is good at, the truth is that it is notably lacking in one particular area, which is performance. And when I say performance, I'm specifically referring to the fact that while many aspects of Notion appear to be really snappy and snazzy at first, there is a tipping point. In other words, once the amount of data within Notion grows to a rather sizable scale and you start composing together features in a kind of complex way, you're inevitably going to be encountering the dreaded loaded spinner. So in other words, be prepared to wait a few seconds, if not longer sometimes, for the data that you're requesting. And while that might not sound too bad at first, it can unfortunately become quite cumbersome and slow when you're trying to do things like quickly capturing ideas, or you want to quickly update your to-do list inside of Notion. With all that said, the big question remains, as with anything with this level of hype, is Notion really worth your time? As we talked about at the beginning of this video, Notion is often presented as the only productivity tool you'll ever need. But, like any claim of that size, the truth lies somewhere in the middle. The truth is that Notion is really good at solving some of the following questions that we covered in this video. Do you need a flexible and powerful way to manage how content is displayed on a page without getting into code? Or maybe you need to collaborate with others on content that require features that go beyond what Google Doc already provides. And if you want to manage more complex data with the simplicity of a spreadsheet while still leveraging different custom views for your data with just a few clicks, rather than memorizing macros and formulas, well, Notion does a great job at solving these problems. And for everyone else, I'd still recommend checking out Notion. Just be sure to lower your expectations as far as how much of the productivity workflow that is going to end up overtaking. So in other words, be sure to hang on to your beloved task managers and note-taking software and anything else that have become critical to your workflow. As for me, while Notion doesn't check off all of the boxes in terms of the requirements that I need to go through my entire productivity workflow, it's still a critical part to how I do things every day and one that I'd still highly recommend. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.